So let's get right into the big story. The Super Eagles won their match against hosts Cote d'Ivoire yesterday, second spot on that group. But it looks like we're going on to the next round, if we can just hold up the next match. So can we do this again? Just before we get there, let's talk about the match, what to expect. We're joined on the show to walk us through that phenomenal match by Olawale Adigun. He's a broadcast sports journalist. He joins us right here in our Lagos studio. Good morning, man.
Yeah, good morning to you. How you guys doing?
The smile on your face. We're happy and grateful.
The smile is brought to you courtesy Super Eagles.
Yeah, that's Super Eagles.
And joining us virtually via Zoom is Sulaiman Adebayo, but you all know him as Puja, with the iconic tint on his beard. Good morning, Puja. It's good to have you as a journalist, of course, right there in Abidjan.
Good morning, guys. Good to be on the show.
I think we'll just start from you naturally because you were on the sidelines, you witnessed the match. Speak to us about the atmosphere. Your job is quite tricky. You're a fan, a journalist as well, a photographer. So while you're maybe taking the shots, you're hoping you guys have to score so I can get good shots. But what was the atmosphere like? What was the match like watching it yesterday?
Well, it was very, very crazy. We're playing the host country, and the fans were all over. So yesterday, we recorded over 49,000 people as against the 30,000 people that watched the Guinea-Bissau against Ivory Coast. So it was a packed stadium. Everybody, was available. The legends, the likes of Didier Drogba, the likes of Emmanuel Eboe. So it was a very, very big encounter. And for the fans, like you said, it's not easy to cover the Super Eagles as a journalist because you can't leave your sentiments out of the window. You have to be sentimental. But all in all, it was a good match. The pressure was so huge from the sideline, and we give accounts of a good performance for the Super Eagles. But for the fans, I think they are the biggest beneficiary of this encounter because from the get-go to the blast of the last whistle, the game was electrifying. And for the fans, it was chant still the 90 minutes.
Wally. We watched from home, so we didn't feel that heat as much, but maybe we felt it more. But what was it like for you?
Yeah, it was crazy because I was also running live commentaries on the radio, for the game. So I was heart and soul into it, and I thought the game started well. The temperament of the game was really good. Both sides came at each other. I thought both sides tried to create chances, but the crucial thing was the first goal of the game was always important that we did score it. It was also important that we didn't concede early because we're playing in front of over 49,000 fans, and you don't want to go down early because the fans are going to come for you. And we held our own second half. We brought our A game, and credit to our street smartness. I thought we're street smart with Victor Osimhen. If he hadn't stayed down, he wouldn't have given the VAR guys a reason to check. So we're street smart there, and that has led to a penalty, which was strangely scored by a central defender. Yeah, true second.
Did you think I was going to balloon the ball, or were you worried? So I saw Tristan call back, guys, what's going on? I hope
so a lot of people didn't remember the World Cup qualifier that we played against Ghana. We didn't qualify for the World Cup. He played the penalty in that game, and he scored. So he was like, hey, I took that penalty against Ghana. I could take it again. Yes, let's do it again.
It takes a lot of bravery because I don't know that I would have done what Truss did.
Yeah,
it took a lot of bravery. Maybe because he was the captain of the team, he just needed to just brace up and say, however this goes, let's brace up and just see what happens. Well, my question is what was different about this particular match?
It was different because we were playing against the host. It was different because we were playing under pressure. We expected to have beaten Equatorial Guinea, and we didn't do that, although I thought the performance was good. And we expected to win because, see, if I hadn't won, we'll have been on the brink of probably elimination from this tournament. So he made it different. And for Jose Peseiro, the manager, he has always been in the search for the game of redemption. He needed the moment of redemption. He needed the game that could send the statements because since he became manager, Nigerians have always been coming for him. And I thought that the game yesterday gave him some breathing space. I thought tactically was switched on. I mean, you were talking earlier on about who the best player. You talked about Olaino. I thought our best player was Jose Peseiro because his three at the back formation dumbfounded Jean-Louis Gasset, who didn't know how to respond to it. So right from the get-go, we had already won the game. And that was costing Jose Peseiro, whose in-game changes were also spotting as well.
He said it was changing the formation as though you were playing a video game just right there.
Well, I saw the highlights of the match, and I, personally think that the Super Eagles played with a lot more bite than the last match, and which is why I'm going to ask, what do you think Joseph Peseiro did differently? And add to that, did the benefit of training make the difference during this game? I mean, the Super Eagles training together ahead of this game.
I know Pooja is here, and Pooja will admit and agree with me that this was the first time in a while that under Joseph Peseiro, the Super Eagles looked well coached. Defensively, we're solid. When we're without the ball, it was 5 at the back. And you could see that the chemistry, the movements, it was really, really on point.
There was a rhythm to
There was a rhythm to the way we defended. And we're never at risk, especially in the second half, of conceding the first goal until we scored, or we're never at risk of considering an equalizer. And that is credit to the organization, through Ekong, Kenneth. I mean, in games like this, you also need experience. So Kenneth Omero was won this tournament before in 2013, came on and was crucial. Frank Onyeka had, I thought, his best game in a Super Eagles jersey as well. So I think that the organization was very different for me. We look well coached, and the question is, can we push on? From this.
Pooja, the same question really, because you saw them train, you saw all of that. It's quite funny now that there's a lot of accolades for Joseph Peseiro. It looks like we've all fallen in love with Joseph Peseiro.
Looks like his sins have been forgiven.
I know, right? I'll come to a tweet which he put up. I know pocketing Fofana and the rest, but talk to us about the backstory, what Peseiro did, what you witnessed there from training to the psychology of the players. Walk us through that, Pooja.
I think it boils down to what the player wants as well. Remember, after the Guinea-Bissau game, the first recovery session of the Super Eagles, the players had a separate session, from the technical team. They were talking to themselves for over 20 minutes. So it was a game of we needed to do this. So away from the manager, the players knew that they need to win, Ivory Coast, because like Olawale said, if they fail to win last night, it will be very, very, very hard for them to qualify. So the players had a personal session with themselves. The likes of Musa talked, Omoro talked, Wazin, even Ekong was a spokesman on that day. So they left them to talk to themselves for over 20 minutes before the recovery session after the Equatorial Guinea game. So the players knew what was on ground. The atmosphere was very, the pressure was so much, and we did a media party. During the media party, all of them, talked very, very, confidently. They knew what was on ground. They knew Africa was the own station. And for Peseiro was, kept on saying that God's givers and God. So he knew that one day God will give him that victory against Ivory Coast. And for the first time in a long while, we had a very good performance. That over 90% of the players that kicked the ball yesterday had a very, very good performance. So credit to Peseiro, because this was the first time we are having a 3-5-2 formation under his tutelage. So all in all, the players knew the assignment, Peseiro knew the assignment, and of course the fans were strongly behind them.
All right, Pooja, just to follow up on that question, one of my friends, Rap, posted on Facebook, although we don't reach Facebook on the show for now. I want to get your take on some of his observations. I said a decent, okay display. He calls it okay display from the Super Eagles. They stuck to their game plan and it worked. He said, I had my heart in my mouth when William Troost-Ekong stepped up to take that penalty, a great penalty, buried with precision. My man of the match contenders, Ola Aina, William Troost-Ekong, Stanley Nwakali, Osimhen. He also said, I don't have too much hope in the team going too far, but I hope they prove me wrong. And he said, Osimhen puts himself under so much pressure. I wanted you to respond to that observation.
Yeah, talking about pressure, we spoke with Victor Osimhen at the mix zone after the game, and he said he gave the penalty to Ekong because of the pressure. Of course, remember he missed a one-on-one in the first 10 minutes of that particular game, and Ekong said you have to speak with Osimhen because Osimhen is the first penalty taker of the Super Eagles. So there was a conversation before the penalty, and Osimhen gave the penalty to Ekong to play the penalty. So on that side, Osimhen knew fully well that he has not been up to standard, in games, and he didn't want that pressure to get to him, and he gave the penalty to Troost-Ekong. On the flip side, you're talking about we are not confident in the Super Eagles. This is a tournament. The teams grow in tournaments, and what the Super Eagles have done shows that they are growing with you know the antecedent of the Super Eagles in competition like the AFCON competition before. You know that we always start slowly. Even in 2013, we lost our first game and we went ahead to win that particular, AFCON. So Nigeria always start the AFCON in a very slow moment. So you can have your reasons. And for the players, I think this is a masterclass. I think it's not. If you are in the stadium and you are being churned down by 49,000 Ivorians, you have to give credit to these guys. Seko Fofana was reduced to playing short outside of the box. We knew what he did against Guinea-Bissau. He was a menace to Guinea-Bissau. But on that day, he was pocketed, like I told them, but I know Onyeka had the best game of his career as a Super Eagles player. We had, the likes of, Alex Iwobi doing the cleaning and forwarding in the middle of the park. And everybody did their shift 100%. Like someone said, everybody delivered their polling unit for the Super Eagles.
Interesting. So the guys were saying earlier that in our team formation, Equatorial Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, our own team, that Equatorial Guinea is the best in terms of tact and in terms of playing techniques. What are your thoughts on that? And what does it portend, for our next match?
I think Equatorial Guinea come close to Nigeria in terms of quality.
Tell them.
I mean, the rankings tell us that. The eye test also suggests that. I thought we're the better side against them. They were just lucky that Victor Osimhen didn't have his scoring boots on. Zaidu Sanusi also couldn't finish. But I mean, they put up a good show yesterday against their fellow Guineans, and I think Equatorial Guinea's start also tones with the Lusophonic countries at the tournament. They've had good starts. Cape Verde. You can go on with Mozambique, who also have had a good tournament as well. But Emilio Nsue scored a hat-trick yesterday.
Yeah.
34-year-old. I think the oldest man in AFCON history to do that. The last AFCON hat-trick is 2008 as well. Fun fact, Emilio Nsue plays as a left-back with his club.
Right?
But plays as a striker with the national team, and he banged in the goals, and looks like they will make the round of 16. All they need to do is probably just maybe get a draw against Super Eagles, or they have to get a draw against Côte d'Ivoire as well, which is possible. Even if they don't do that, they might still qualify. They've had a fine tournament. Last time out, they made the quarterfinals. So there are also no pushovers. Talk about the Equatorial Guineans.
Are you sure you're not buoyed by yesterday's performance?
Not really. You beat what's in front of you, right? And looks like Guinea-Bissau are the whipping boys, which I'm expecting that we should be able to do to them.
They're already
on
home,
Monday.
right?
Oh, they're home. They're eliminated already. Yeah, they're out.
Pudra.
Yeah, what do you think also?
I think, if you look at the games we had in Order Costello, we had a lot of chances. Like Wade said, against Equatorial Guinea, we had over 5, clear chances, which we couldn't convert. So you can't say, we don't have bad performances under this person. That's why, he came during the press conference and said, God give it and God take it, because we have had good chances. You've created good chances under him. And, even against Ivory Coast, our first 2 chances, went to, Victor Osimhen. Even, Bright had a chance as well. Victor Chukwueze had, one-on-one as well. So we had chances in games. What we just need to do is to convert our chances. And if we continue to do that, I think Guinea-Bissau will give us more confidence. I think the boys have to go all out and send a statement to the rest of Africa that we are here to win the title. We need to beat them very well, because, like Wani said, they are limited as well. The confidence is down, their psychology is down, and we are coming with the back foot of winning against the host country. So I think we are going all out to send a message to the rest of Africa, beat them very well, so that we set ourselves very ready for the knockout phases.
Quite interesting what you said the coach said. So is it Pastor Jose Pesero now that we're saying with those quotes? But I was reading your post on X after the match. Maybe we'll talk about the Ghana-Egypt match, but let's stick with Nigeria. So you said, I know pocketed Fofana. Lookman followed instructions. Shemi and Ekong were very solid. You called Bassi a tank. In fact, you put the fire emoji. Osimhen, lifesaver. Zaidu should tell us his job. Iwobi needs to be more dominant. Onyeka, like Loma, cleared everything. And, a lot of people were adding theirs. And I see that a lot of people are talking about the individual play. It looks like, would you agree that we're beginning to have a solid Super Eagles team? Because a lot of people are saying, we need the kind of team we had with Okocha and the rest. We've not seen that kind of talent. Do we look like we're building that solid Super Eagles team that can will I say change the world or conquer the world now? That's more appropriate.
I think so. On paper, we have one of the best players in the world, and our attacking prowess is out of this world. So on the flip side, we can say we have good talent individually, and I think in games we've seen that we've not come together as a team to perform. And I think against the Equatorial Guinea, it has actually been a very good game for us. We have won like 5-1 or 4-1 because we created a lot of chances, not just chances, clear-cut chances. And against Ivory Coast, we came together, and like you said, in the bulletin, that everybody, in the team gave their best. So that's a team football. That's a team work. We saw yesterday AFCON as a leader. No, we've been complaining about we don't have a leader in the team. We saw AFCON coming to the fore as a leader. We saw, Osimhen finally, being a leader, giving the penalty to AFCON. We saw Kevin Bassey. We saw, Aino. We saw Oyeka, who there have been lots of, talk about him. And Seydou as well. We can say Seydou, have not been converting chances because, in a way, all our chances, fell to Seydou in some games. But he needs to tell us, like I said, what he really wants to do. He has been performing, but when it comes to the final third, he has been struggling to convert for the Super Eagles. So as a team, I think we are coming together. I think the win against Ivory Coast is a very, very big one, for the team. They are aware of what is going on, back home. They are aware of the journalists, the fans, and yesterday it was impressive because we had the Super Eagles Supporters Club in the stadium as well to cheer the team, to victory. So I think, for the Ivory Coast game, it can give us a good reflection on that. We have a team already. All we just have to do is to build on it from the Guinea-Bissau game. So Posada has been talking about how this team is the most talented in Africa, and we need to start doing that on the pitch.
All right, let's come to you, Wale. We've been talking about, the exciting part of it. And of course, I know that pundits like you look in between all the lines and all of that. What are the lapses you're still seeing within the Super Eagles that we need to check going forward? Because playing against Guinea-Bissau, they'll come to play for pride, and that could be very, very tricky for all of us.
I worry for our efficiency. I thought yesterday was a professional performance, was effective, but we didn't create chances. We didn't create clear-cut chances. Against Equatorial Guinea, like Peter said, we had 6. We made Jesus Lazarus Owono. We made him look like Manonaya because he made 6 saves in the game. So I worry for our efficiency, and we're going to create chances in this tournament. But can we score? How many can we score? And days when we don't create much, can we take advantage of those little chances we're creating? That's my worry. I think defensively we're sound. I mean, when we saw Trostekong yesterday, it made me baffled why Jose Peseiro froze him out of the team for about a year, because he wasn't in the team, he was looking inside from the outside. But I love the fact that he listened to the voice of reason and brought him back into the fold, for the turn. So I think defensively will be good. Alex Iwobi also needs to create more. I thought yesterday was a bit withdrawn, but I thought he played more to the instruction of the manager. Players need to start putting the collective, aside from personal glory. Look at Bright Osai Samuel. Samuel had a chance to have passed the ball to Olaino or probably pass it to Victor Osimhen for 2-0, which will have been game-set match for us. So I think that if we can iron out all of these things, we will do well. I'm looking at the bigger picture, which is the round of 16, where it gets tough, because from then on, those marginal errors will be punished. So we need to iron out all of that against Guinea-Bissau. We need to score a lot. I mean, when you score goals, you send a message to the opposition that you're in business.
So speaking of which, I'd like both of you to speak to this. Speaking of lapses, the analysis is also that some of the players are playing, particularly towards the end of yesterday's match, more for individual glory rather than collectively. That sense of cohesion still lacking. Did you see that? And going forward, what would you be recommending for Peseiro to do to correct that?
I thought it was just a moment of maybe lost his head, Bright Osai, but aside from that, I've seen a team who wants to play for themselves. You look at the back line. Calvin Bassey was, by the time Seydou went off and he went to left wing back, there was no successful cross was made by the Ivorians from the right side of the attack. And you could see that they're playing for each other. Look at Frank Onyeka, who was like a boss in the midfield, urging us. Even Stanley Nwabali, who is a newbie in the squad, was telling the older players to be calmer. He was urging for calm heads. He was telling them to remain switched on. I mean, that's a new player in the squad. So that tells you that everyone is getting along. Paul Onuachu just came to camp on Sunday, and yesterday he came on and won about 5 fouls. And in that process, he eased the pressure of the Super Eagles because the Ivorians were always knocking on the door. So everyone is putting in the shift, which is really good to see, which is good for team spirit. And you can only wait for more, only urge for more in games going further. But I think that collectively, the team's playing for each other.
Are you now in love with Pesero?
Am I in love with him? Not yet. Because see, the one game against Ivory Coast is not enough sample size for me to be able to say that he is finally the savior, the messiah for the Super Eagles.
Valentine's is coming. Puja, what about you? Because I know he's gotten a lot of bashing. His choice of players, his choice of tactics, a lot more. Even where he stays has attracted a lot of criticism and the rest. But are we beginning to turn the tide and fall in love with Joseph Pesero?
I think, well, you can say yes, because I think it's like what I said, he's now listening to the voice of reasoning. Because if you look at the squad, it was very adamant with Frank Zor before the AFCON. We were talking about how he lay out to Uzor, and all of a sudden he brought Zor from South Africa, talking about Wabali as the first team goalkeeper. Talking about leaders in the team, he pulls out Musa, pulls out Ekong, for the past 1 year, and all of a sudden, because of the voice of reasoning, he has brought them back into the fold, and they are part of the team. So if you continue to listen to opinions, continue to listen to Nigerians, experts, I think he's going to be a very good manager of the team. And don't let us take anything away from Pesero. The teams have let him down in several cases. Against Lesotho, we had chances as well. Against Zimbabwe and Rwanda, we had chances as well. Against Equatorial Guinea as well, we had chances that we have killed off the game, and we couldn't. If you look at that trajectory, we know that we have been doing not really well in terms of results, but in terms of gameplay, we've been doing well under Pesero. And let me just say something about the collective of the team. I think they are playing with themselves. Like I said before, their first training session after that defeat against draw against Guinea-Bissau, they had a personal conversation between themselves for over 20 minutes. And yesterday again, the first penalty taker of the team, which of course was Victor Osimhen, told their come to play that penalty. That shows they are playing for themselves. They know what is at stake, and of course, if you are selfish, that means you have failed the team. So the collective, of the team is very much aware, and they know what is at stake. And I think, going forward, we see more of the Super Eagles.
And I'm just looking some of the things, some of the observations being made. Let me bring it to you, Wale, on the local content on the Super Eagles. Should this begin to make us look at it differently because of some of the display we have seen at AFCON this year?
I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but Stanley Wabali plays at Chippa United.
South Africa.
So he's not home-based.
Well,
although it's a project,
African national league.
Yeah, of course. But it's a product of the league. Actually got the only yellow card of the game yesterday.
For time wasting,
which is very... he's a legend.
That's enough. Anybody who knows Stanley Wabali, he should be careful.
He's a time-wasting legend, and he brought that. But you make a good point that, see, the African game is special. And I also thought that players like Olaino, Calvin Bassey also demystified the fact that foreign-based players cannot prosper, playing African football. They looked in tune with the African game yesterday.
Yeah.
The feistiness of the game, the physicality, they dealt with it really well. But I would like to see more of local content in the NPF. Remember, last time we won the tournament, we won it with the base
Sondemba.
Sondemba. We had Godfrey Obuabono. We had Azubike Gweke. Joseph Yobo started that tournament, got injured in the first game, and Godfrey stepped in and had a wonderful tournament. I make bold to say was one of the best defenders in that tournament. So you can never ignore the impact that the home-based players can bring into the squad. We have Leke Ojo as a goalkeeper, as well from Enyimba. I'm sure that he will be transmitting a lot to Stanley Wabali as well. So I'd like to see more local content as well going forward with the Super Eagles.
Now, before we go to the Egypt-Ghana match, Kari, I know that you're headed there.
What?
Before that,
there's a question for Puja, actually.
For Puja, okay. Okay, go ahead with the question.
Default. And he says, Are the boys not getting too many distractions with the media attention and guests visited them while in camp? Pooja, this is for you because you're around them. King by default on X is saying, are the boys not getting too many distractions with the media attention and guests visits to them while in camp?
Well, I know Nigeria is peculiar, and we look at things differently. When we are talking about media attention, let me just bust a bubble here. The Ghanaian team came with a contingent of over 100 journalists, sponsored by the federal government. Morocco came with over 200 journalists, sponsored by the government. All the non-African teams came with at least over 50 journalists, and they have access to the camp of their team. And Nigerians, most of us are freelancers, not sponsored by federal government in courts, and we are in Ivory Coast. So the media attention, if you're talking about media attention, you should be talking about teams that have over 200 journalists sponsored by the federal government. So from us, it's all business, it's all reported, nobody's distracting anybody. When they call for media attention, media party, we went for the media party. When the time was up, we left the Super Eagles camp. Nobody without invite can access the Super Eagles camp. The only time you are with the Super Eagles at the training grounds is the official 15 minutes were approved by CAF. So there's no much around the Super Eagles with the journalists. What we do is the assigned time by CAF, we're well utilized by the journalists, and we do our job 100%. So about the media distraction, nobody reads the X. We spoke with the players, and all of them said they keep their phone on check. No X, no social media until the final day. So talking about media distraction, Nigerians we are peculiar. We're talking about other part of other teams. They have more journalists than the Super Eagles, in Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay, interesting. I know the other side of the question was about guests visiting them, but we have to wrap up now.
Yeah.
Hey, we didn't get to talk about Ghana, Egypt.
And I'm curious about how far the Eagles can go, considering the analysis that the first two games are similar to 2013.
I mean, the pointers are looking good. I mean, while you were there, you talked about a post you saw on X, and I mean, I can add another one. The two times we went into this tournament with the current African Footballer of the Year was 1994 and 2000. 1994 was Rashidi Yekini. We won it in Tunisia. 2000, we had Kanu Nwankwo. We got to the final and lost in controversial circumstances to Cameroon. And this time around, we have a current African Footballer of the Year. So the signs look good, right? I personally predicted we're going to get to the final. I'm not saying we're going to win it, but I think we're going to get to the final because we are a tournament team. We've had the most podium finishes in the history of the AFCON. That has to count for something. Yeah. And crucially, we are slow starters in tournaments. Last time we won it, we drew our first two games to Zambia and Burkina Faso. Beat Ethiopia in the final group game we scored late. And from then on, we beat Ivory Coast and went on to win the tournament. So it might just be the same trajectory for the Super Eagles, but I'm very confident that we can get to the final. Are we going to win it? That's the $1 million question.
Okay, really the coming days will tell. But gentlemen, it's been an amazing conversation we had with you. I was worried that it was going to be a sad conversation. But we did well.
And Kayode, some people are commenting and on X. I say good to see Adigun and Pooja reviewing the games. Pooja live. The Super Eagles are proving themselves to be Eagles. We're super proud. And all of that. So Super Eagles were super yesterday. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. So
we're
you guys
have big fans. Your big fans are watching. Thank you so much, Sulaiman Adebayo, Pooja, journalist. I know you look forward to Super Eagles getting to the final and winning it as well. It would be a remarkable one. Thank you for your time, as well as Olawale Adigun, broadcast sports journalist, right here in our Lagos studio. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So see you when we win the cup, right?
Amen.
One step at a time.
Look at them. They're laughing. They didn't say yes. All right, we'll go to a break now. When we return, we turn our attention to something that concerns you, personal grooming. Looking good, they say, is good business. In fact, they say people that look attractive always have very good chances in life. So how can you keep your A game when it comes to looking good? Stay with us right here. It's still the morning brief.